Hey, Tony here from Fungi. Today I am talking briefs, specifically how to create a killer creative brief. As a creative, I spent the majority of my career in the audience, worked at big holding company agencies, small digital shops, little boutiques, in between places, and now here at Fungi, where we think and we make. I know the importance of a really tight brief. I've also been on the flip side, where I've helped write briefs and kind of distill that information to give to my creative teams. So, what is a brief, right? What do they look like? These are a few that I've seen over the years. Typically, they are a single page format where a lot of the high level information is there, distilled down to background, who we're talking to, how did we get here, things like that. I love those. Nice and simple, easy to follow. Recently, in the past few years, there's been these briefs that are like up here somewhere. They're decks, beautiful imagery, flowing pictures, wonderful language, strategies that sound like taglines. It seems like people tend to put more work into making these briefs look good than they do the substance. Not a huge fan of them because I've always found that they tend to be lacking. I prefer the simple, I prefer the straightforward, and that's what I'm going to walk you through today. And so, why do you need a brief in the first place? Clarity. Plain and simple. Let's keep it clear and let's get everyone on the same page. It's that one place everyone can go to refer to what are we doing here? It can be a checklist too. When you're looking at the work, you're judging the creative work at the end. Are we doing X, Y, and Z, or is the work only doing X and Z? It helps you judge the creative, and you should always pull the brief up when you're looking at the work to make sure it's achieving what you need it to do. So I'm going to walk you through the fungi brief today, section by section. It'll be a good outline of what needs to go where. And then I'm also going to bring it to life through an example from Uncle Jim. You may not know Uncle Jim, but he has big ideas. And you can see one of his ideas here is Uncle Jim's mushroom balm. He's got a product. He needs a brief. So we're going to use this as a way to bring our brief to life so you can kind of see how we put this brief into action. So let's dive in, huh? So up the top, what are the details? This is where you get all that important stuff out of the way. What's the job number, project number? How do you classify these things? Give it a title. These are the pieces that we use here at Fungi, and this is all that kind of record-keeping stuff that must be on every brief. So you can kind of always come back and refer to it. In the case of Uncle Jim, obviously he's the client here. This is Project Mush 004, third project or fourth project here for Uncle Jim. And you can see I'm the creative lead here. Jack is kind of leading production, and Sarah is our account lead on this. Again, if anyone's got any questions or someone comes in at the last time like, who's doing what? It's all right here. Up next, the ask. This is the elevator pitch, right? This is that kind of that high level. What are we doing? It sums up the project as a whole. This is not messaging. This is not the goals. This is like, what is it? What are we doing here? Uncle Jim creating a targeted brand campaign to launch Uncle Jim's mushroom ball, positioning it as a revolutionary anti-aging skincare solution. Campaign is going to focus on digital platforms to educate and inspire a skeptical audience about the benefits of mushrooms in skincare. That's a lot. It's 2 sentences. But again, you can walk away right now and you know exactly what's happening. And that's the goal of the ask, so that you can read this, say, what are we doing? That's exactly what this part does. All right, up next, what are we saying? What is the main message? What's that single most important thing, one, that our deliverables should communicate? A lot of people call it the SMIT, single most important thing. That's it, one thing, not 2 things, not everything. That one thing that we kind of drive back to. I'm a stickler. I really do not like the use of the word and in the main message, because the and allows the brief writer to get away with including multiple messages, which is cheating. You'll see how we kind of handle that for Uncle Jim here. Uncle Jim's mushroom balm redefines anti-aging skincare by harnessing the powerful natural properties of mushrooms. Bet you didn't know they had those, but they do. Super simple, straightforward. If someone sees the work you produce and they walk away with this, you have won. Why can we say that main message? This is where you put the messaging support. These are the key pieces of information that support your main message. These are the reasons to believe, RTBs, a lot of people call them. If you kind of take all this messaging information and truncate it into a paragraph, I've got to dig through it as your audience. Your audience shouldn't have to do any work. I like bullet points. I like, guess what? Simplicity, right? All right, Uncle Jim, mushroom extracts contain unique antioxidants and anti-inflammatory properties that improve skin elasticity. This stuff is clinically tested. That's a great support point. It goes back to that main message. It's sustainably sourced, environmentally friendly. Again, these are all the reasons why we can go back and we can say that main message of we are redefining anti-aging skincare by harnessing the powerful natural properties of mushrooms. These messaging support points reinforce that main message. They all go here. We've got, what, 5 here? You may have 6, you may have 3. If you have none, that's a problem. Then, well, maybe that's another video, is kind of how to figure out what your support points are, and what happens if you don't have a lot of support points. So there you go. Those are Uncle Jim's support points. Here's a great section as well. This is who are we talking to and why should they care? This is your audience. I like when you give your audience a fun name. It helps me remember who they are and what they're about. It sums up what they're about in that name. But you should include a short description about who they are, and why should they care about our product. I mean, ultimately, like, plain speak, why do these people, what's it going to do for them? You should also include or look for points of conflict. What's keeping them away from our product or service? And also, I like to include their point of view on the category here. Some people will break out category and throw charts and graphs and here's where we stand. What does the consumer think about the category? Are they overwhelmed? Do they typically go for one product? Put that here. When you put that through the consumer's lens, I think it gives the creative a lot of information, a lot of meat to build off of, rather than charts and graphs and category rankings and things of that nature. So who's Uncle Jim talking to? The skeptical naturals. Again, you kind of get an idea of who they are from their name. They're eco-conscious skincare enthusiasts, but they're a little bit cautious about anything unconventional. You know, they have skepticism around mushrooms. Is it superior to mainstream options? And when it comes to the category, they're open to trying new things, but they need to kind of be convinced first, hence the skeptical natural name. All right, what are we making? Like I said, here at Fungi, we're making. So deliverables and specs are super, super important to what we do. We're producing videos, we're creating events, a lot of social content. Again, having those specs here up front is really, really important, so they're not wasting time. This helps guide us. This is more of the details driven, and it's meant to be customizable, at least in our brief format, where you can, rewrite and change the specs based on what you're doing. So you can see under video, what are the specs, what's the size, what's the length, and you can see the specs are different for each deliverable, as they should be. But again, this gives your team all the information they need to know to get up and running right from the get-go. Here you go. This is something that we do at Fungi. No one else has ever done this before, at least not on my briefs. I like to call it the over deliverable. And this is that one thing, that idea or opportunity that we can do to take the project beyond the expected. What is the plus up? This is not something in the ask. This is something that we try to push ourselves to do here, is to go beyond. So for Uncle Jim, he wants a website. Let's make an interactive site. And here's a thought. It's a virtual skincare assessment. Maybe there's a find your mushroom match quiz. Again, it's kind of a little bit of an off the wall idea. May not be doable. And you may not always produce these things, but it's good to have them. It's great to bring them. And I know clients love when we bring ideas that are kind of off the script. Timeline, when is it due? This should be super obvious, but I got to tell you, I've been in so many briefings where, oh yeah, we'll get to the schedule. We don't know what the timeline is. I mean, that's garbage. Like, get this on there. When I'm getting briefed, I'm like, okay, when do I need ideas by? And that's super important. So include the kickoff date. whatever dates are important to you and wherever you work. For us here, it's when is it going to the client? Those are kind of the key milestones. Some people include like internal milestones on those. We tend to keep it to this. So a lot of times when you write a brief, there's these things that don't necessarily fit into the above categories. And that's where you put this additional context and information. There's a lot of things that come out in conversation with clients and with partners over the course of writing the brief and those discovery calls that you glean from them that could be used to influence the creative itself or guide the creative. So, Uncle Jim may reference a Vimeo link that he saw. Throw that in there for your creative team. Hey, Uncle Jim likes this. You can get some really interesting insights from that and help open up ideas. Not that you need to copy anything, not that you need to necessarily do that. It's just good information to know. And there you have it. That is the fungi brief. Now you are set up to create your own killer brief. If you want to copy a fungi's brief, you can absolutely have it. Reach out to anyone you know at Fungi, even people you don't know, or maybe it's on a link somewhere here, wherever you're watching this thing. But we are happy to help. I hope you got a lot of good information out of this video. It's been a lot of fun for me kind of creating the fungi brief and gleaning information from some of the folks and briefs that I've worked with in the past. But again, nice, simple, creative brief. Keep it concise, keep it on point, and the work will be better as a result of a great brief. Thanks a lot, folks. Have a good time and good luck with your creative briefs.